The bats are in the belfry, the deer is on the moor. Where are the arms that held me and pledged her love before, and pledged her love before? I made a golden promise that I would never part. I gave my love a locket, and then I broke her heart, and then I broke her heart. And it's such a sad old feeling. All the fields are soft and green. It's memories that I'm stealing, but you are innocent when you dream. When you dream, you're innocent when you dream. When you dream, you're innocent when you dream. We're running through the graveyard. We laugh, my friends and I. We swore we'd be together until the day we died. Until the day we died. And it's such a sad old feeling. All the fields are soft and green. It's memories that I'm stealing, but you're innocent when you dream. When you dream, you're innocent when you dream. When you dream, you're innocent when you dream.
Welcome to show 109. Next week will be show 110, 110, and then after that, I want to have something special for show 111, 111. You're thinking, what's the big deal? And you're right, there's no big deal. It's just a number thing. I'm a number freak, especially when it comes to repeating ones. I was staring at my odometer once when it changed to 100,000 miles. It was great to see all those numbers flip. I was so glad I had accidentally looked up at it just at the right second. A treasured yet irrelevant and meaningless moment. Hi everybody. It's show 109. Yep, It's show 109, and we decided to try a few new things with the cameras. As you can see, on this side we have something, and on this side we have something, and we got the ladder is the only thing that's standing straight. Okay, my head in the middle is straight, but it's the same head in all three pictures. Isn't that something? A triptych. Hey, did you ever see Time Code? But I think it's a Swedish movie starring a fellow who I later saw in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series. But great actor, Sven Svalgard. I can't remember his name, sorry. But he was one of the main characters in this movie, and the movie is in 4 pieces. Every time you look at the screen, which is to say every second of the movie, when you look at the screen you see 4 separate movies. Each quadrant has a different person, and each quadrant follows a different person. And only at the end of the movie are they all in the same room. It is the strangest. Today, in honor of my esteemed colleague and friend, Michael Arnowit, I am going to include a decent representation performance of the Michael HURLEY tune, Eyes, Eyes, from about 1970. Gosh, 40 years. How the time flies. How the tempest fugits.
Protein monster ate a sack of poison sugar, crawling out of a barn into the weeds to die, rolling his eyes. Eyes, eyes. She calls me a buck, sleeping through the day. There was nothing I wanted to say. I closed my eyes. My molasses broke my glasses, and the moon came up, and we wiggled our asses. She got red eyes. Eyes. The werewolf rides, and everybody hides. He won't be scared when he dies. Look in his eyes. Eyes. Marilyn Monroe pointed her toe, crawling out of the pool from the water so cool. Camera flashes flashing back from her eyes.
Soon the studios will move. Yes, we're going to move the studio, and when we move the studio, I will try to show you the entire new studio. I will shoulder a camera or wheel a camera or strap one to my head or whatever works best, and I will show you the new studio. Today, I am going to read for you a story that I wrote. I started it in 1984. And if it's finished, I just finished it. It's about insurance and stuff. The West Park Medical Center. I had never bought insurance in my life. I was 38 in 1984, living in New York City. I worked at a health food store in the East Village, and through my boss's father, we were offered a Blue Cross Blue Shield health plan as part of B'nai B'rith. His father had connections at B'nai B'rith. Quarterly payments for each worker would be $250, of which management paid half. This included the fee for joining B'nai B'rith and entitled us to certain coverage. Some of us decided to try out the plan, which the boss said was a great deal. I had injured my feet the year before, and they still bothered me. More recently, I had torn a tendon in my knee, which put me on my back for 6 weeks. I had been shopping around local hospitals for a knee procedure after I'd been able to return to work. I was likely to need an arthrogram and an arthroscopy. Arthroscopy? I don't know. The arthrogram meant injecting dye into the tendons so they'd show up in an X-ray. The arthroscope was a long metal needle with a camera at the tip, which let the doctors see inside my knee. Whoa. I wasn't looking forward to these procedures, partly because the arthrogram alone would cost $250. Since the plan gave me complete coverage for both of those procedures, I was in. We were joining B'nai B'rith and the West Park Medical Center. The center was at 79th Street and Central Park West, right by the Museum of Natural History. I made my first appointment right away, and a few weeks later stepped out of the subway to cross the street and enter the bright, modern offices of the West Park Medical Center. Its corridors were grand and tasteful, and the very air pulsed with efficiency. The 3 young receptionists greeted me and gave me forms to fill out in the waiting room. I could only assume that sometimes it was much busier. It was a pretty big place. I was then interviewed by a woman named Dr. English. Her smile was cool with science. She was tall, imposing, authoritative, calm as a pond. She invited me into her office and sat behind her desk with folded hands. She listened to my tale. She said the first step was to get the reports and x-rays forwarded from my previous hospital, the Hospital for Joint Diseases on 2nd Avenue and 17th Street. She said I'd be seeing an orthopedic surgeon on the east side. She'd make an appointment for me when she received the records and would call me the following week. The call did not come, and the week after that, I called to find that the reports were in, but not the x-rays. I was asked to come in and sign a release form so they could send the reports to the orthopedic surgeon. I wondered why they hadn't sent them where they were needed, but agreed to come up and sign the form. They made an appointment for me, and I had to sign it by Wednesday. Wednesday came, and it was pouring rain, so I called again to ask if there wasn't some way I could avoid a 2-hour trip in the rain. The receptionist said they'd already forwarded the records and that I did not have to sign anything. I was glad that I had called first. That month, I saw the orthopedic surgeon she'd recommended, and he thought my knee was doing pretty well. I didn't need an arthrogram yet. I should wait and see if it improved. So far, so good. I was satisfied, glad I was covered, even though I didn't need any further help at the time. So, I came in for my physical. I hadn't had one in years. At my first appointment, I'd signed up for a complete physical exam. There had been a 3-month waiting list. When my turn finally came, I went up there, and there once again was Dr. English. I was starting to wonder how much of a staff they had. In the waiting room, I filled out a 5-page form asking many questions about my medical history and present state. One part of the form listed about 50 common complaints to be checked off when relevant. Some were unclear, others very direct. I had been wondering if anything was wrong with me, and I checked off 15 or 20 of them. These were all sorts of observations I'd had about my physical and mental condition. I wanted them checked out now that I had the chance to ask a doctor. We're talking about, do you ever get sore muscles? Do you have trouble sleeping? You ever get dizzy? Many, 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 many questions. Dr. English took my form, looked at it a minute as she stood in the doorway, and then invited me into her office. She offered me a chair and sat behind her desk and folded her hands again. She said, "You know, all these things are just part of being alive." She leaned back and looked at me. I looked back. Then she stood up to give me my physical examination. She didn't tap and prod me in odd spots as other doctors had done when I had gotten a physical. And very notably, the most memorable moment in any complete physical for a man, consisting of the doctor putting a wooden depressor on your tongue and then pushing one ball back up into your body and asking you to cough. It didn't happen. She had me take off my shirt, but that was it. I got the impression she was not being thorough. She declared me very healthy, and I left wondering who she was fooling. She made an appointment for me to have my feet x-rayed at the clinic a week later. I came in, got x-rayed, and the nurse said she'd call when the results arrived. The following Monday, Dr. English called to say about the x-rays, "I don't see anything very interesting." She said that if I liked, she would send them on to the orthopedic surgeon. I said I'd like that. Around that time, the second quarterly payment was due. I was sort of disillusioned with the medical center and told the boss I was not continuing. I told him of my concerns. He shrugged. I didn't blame him. His dad had vouched for the place and the plan, so he had an interest in believing in the center. Soon after, I got a call from a Blue Cross agent who told me their rates had gone up, effective retroactively for 2 months. I owed them another $14 for the period now elapsed. I said I'd send it right off, but I didn't. She called the following week to say that if I didn't send the $14 in 2 days, they'd have to charge me a la carte, so to speak, for all the services I'd received so far. And I'd still owe the $14. I told her I'd do it just to make her happy. I said it was right in line with their process so far. It appeared to me that all they were interested in was money, and they seemingly hoped to give as little service as possible for that money. She started to let me have it as she replied, "Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Messing." I said, "Sure." And as she started to wail into me, I hung up.
Should I wait for happiness? I've grown impatient more or less. I cannot wait somehow. Show me that bluebird now. Take your tomorrow and give me today. 'Cause tomorrow is too far away. And if every morning I've waited in vain to find each dawning brings only rain, how can I borrow tomorrow today when all around me skies are heavy and gray? What tomorrow may bring don't mean a thing. That's why I say take your tomorrow and give me today. today, 'cause you tomorrow is too far away. And every morning I have waited in vain to find it's dawning, brings on the rain. How can I borrow tomorrow today, when all around me skies are heavy and gray? Oh, what tomorrow may bring don't mean a thing, and that is why I say take your tomorrow. Give me today. Well, we're reaching the end. And because we're reaching the end, I'm going to have to shut up real soon. Yep. Well, actually, I'm going to keep talking, but I won't be on TV. Yes, I would like to thank Rebecca Padula, who has come in, and I can tell that she'd rather be home. But duty called, and she answered, and here she is. And here I am. And there you are. And here we go. And there you go. And that's about it. Yes, as usual, I'll be talking. I'll be talking to you. And all of a sudden, I won't be talking to you, because things only last so long. Nothing lasts forever. All good things must come to an end. And there's a beginning and an end to everything. And we're born, and then we die. And dying is not a happy ending. Movies have happy endings. Lives don't really have happy endings. It's a shame. You know, there's no Japanese word for happy ending. I noticed in a Japanese movie, the subtitle said happy endings, and the guy on screen said, happy endings all. And I realized the Japanese had no actual word or concept for happy endings. Really makes you think, if you like to think. You're innocent.